Hey everyone, how are we doing? Welcome back to lesson number 2. So this lesson is going to be all about the rule of thirds. Now we'll get to that in just a moment. Hopefully you've all managed to get some competition entries in from last week's competition, which was all about landscape and portrait. So we were talking last week about what way to hold your camera or hold your phone to get the best picture for whatever it is that you might be photographing. So what we're going to do, first of all, we're going to have a quick look at some of the entries. We had some really good entries come in this week. We're going to look at some of the entries, we'll have a quick chat and we'll give some shout outs to some people. So let's have a look at these. What do we think?
So let's have a little look at this week's entries. We've got Amber, who is 14, who sent us a lovely portrait picture of a memorial in Littleport. She's also sent in this landscape picture of what looks like the floods up at Littleport with the weather coming in. And we've got Annalise, who is 12, and Annalise has sent us a lovely picture of a sunset in landscape. And we've also got a brilliant portrait image of two dogs who look like they're having a great time chasing each other running along. Finally, we've got pictures from Katie. Katie is also 12, and Katie sent us a portrait picture from a puddle using great reflections there. We've also got a lovely landscape picture here, which takes in a bit of the foreground and the reflection. And then finally, we've got a brilliant portrait picture. We're using her leg or a leg to lead into the photo. Really well done there. Thanks a lot for all your entries, guys.
So welcome back. How good were they? Fantastic. That's a really impressive first week. Really good stuff coming from there. So what we're going to talk about this week is we're going to talk about something called composition and the rule of thirds. Don't worry, those big words, and it all doesn't make much sense. You're thinking we're going to do a load of maths. We're not. This is just a theory that has been built into photography, which sometimes is fantastic and other times you're going to want to completely ignore it. So while we call it a rule of thirds, it's not a rule like your mum and dad put in, and it's not a rule like you have to follow at school. It's an idea, and it's a theory that is something that you can use if the situation's right. So what do we mean when we say the rule of thirds? What we mean is we break the photograph down into 9 sections, okay? So you'll see the lines. We've got lines, 2 lines either side, and we've got 2 lines top and bottom. That gives us 4 points. 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 points are what we like to call the focus areas that you may put your subject on if you're looking to frame your picture in such a way that you make it look really interesting and you give another depth to the photograph. So what do we mean by that? Now you can see that I'm sitting in the middle of the frame. I'm sitting in the middle third, and it's not particularly interesting, but this isn't a creative type video. This isn't a photo that we're looking at to try to say, let's make it really interesting. Now let's think, if you're photographing your dog, or you might be photographing a tree, or you might be photographing the ocean, then what we look to do is we try to put the main point of focus on one of these lines, okay? Now, if I'm sitting here, you can see that I'm in this third of the picture. Or if I'm sitting over this side, you'll see that I'm in this third of the picture. So we break the thing down into 3. It'll either be 3 horizontally or it'll be 3 vertically. Okay, so a little maths lesson, not a proper one. Can't pretend to be a proper maths teacher there. So the reason why we want to say to put your subject, so the main thing you're photographing, on one of these spots, okay, one of these spots here that we've got, the main reason why we want to do that is because we want whoever's looking at the picture to look at the main point of interest, and their eye then goes into the other area of the picture, which they can take the whole photograph in. So you might have someone standing here and you might have a lovely background behind, or you might have somebody over this side, you might have your dog, but then in the garden you've got the lovely pictures that are in this section of the photograph. There's lots of different times that you may use the rule of thirds to try to help you frame and compose your photograph. When we talk about composition, sometimes you think of a music composer, but in photography, what composition means is where your main subject appears in the photograph. Okay, so you might be on the left, you might be on the right, you might be in the bottom third, okay, you might be down here, or you might have something up in the top third up here. I'm not very tall, so getting to the top third's an effort. So what we're saying is there's lots of different ways that you can frame and you can create interest in your photograph. So what we're looking for you to do, this week's competition, this week's challenge, is for you to go and take some pictures and use the rule of thirds. Now what we need you to do is to send in your best picture, email it to us at competition@happydaysPhoto.co.uk. Just like we've done this week, what we'll do is we'll show you some of our entries next week. We'll pick a winner and we'll let you know who's going to be the winner for this week. Make sure you do some in landscape, some in portrait. Use what we learnt last week, and what we can then do is we can make sure that we're building on our knowledge every week, and then we're going to keep working towards being able to take fantastic photographs and really understanding what we're doing. So we look forward to seeing you next week, same time, same place. Please share this with your schools, please share this with your friends. We want everyone to be able to enjoy and love photography. Look forward to speaking to you soon. Happy days. Bye-bye.